Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic. Another day in quarantine.
What's it, like day 6?
It has to be more
of
than
official
that, right?
Quarantine?
Didn't like the quarantine-ish stuff start like that Sunday that we moved? Because remember what happened at the restaurant or there were every other person?
Yeah, but the official shelter in place closed all the non-essential businesses was a few days after that.
So probably Monday or Tuesday. So that's about a week.
Yeah.
7-8 days.
At worst, it's a week and a half.
7 to 10 days. And here we still are. And then
In the
I get a
house.
phone call from the old manager of the apartment complex we moved from. And they wanted to go over the charges for our move out.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's just say that if what they send me is what they told me they're going to send me, then we're going to be going to court.
Oh, why is that?
Well, first of all, in our lease it said that, and I think this is ridiculous, by the way, since they, first let's say this. Every apartment that ever has emptied out there, whether the person lived there for a month, a year, or 10 years, the first thing they do is tear the carpeting out and put new carpeting in.
Right.
You could find dozens of people to testify to that fact.
Uh-huh.
They just do that. So you know full well that with us living there as long as we live there, that they're going to change the carpet.
Uh-huh.
But yet the lease says we have to pay a prorated amount based off of the carpet lasting 7 years.
Which is bullshit.
How do they arbitrarily decide that their garbage carpet lasts 7 years? Like, I wish I knew who the carpet vendor was, and I would call and claim that I'm a landlord.
Uh-huh.
And ask him how much his carpeting is. Oh, and by the way, how much is it for install? Oh, and by the way, what's your warranty on that thing? How long does it last? What's its lifespan?
Right.
And when he tells me 2 years, then I can go, okay. It says the lifespan's 2 years. Take it and shove it up your ass.
Because that carpet, just from the...
And I figured out how I'm going to know. I just realized as soon as they send me the deposit, they have to give me the invoices, and the invoice is going to have a company's name on it,
or it better,
and that company will get a phone call from me. Be easy.
Yep.
So they charged me $380 to remove the carpet and $320 to install new carpet.
Now my comment about all of that was, of course, if I'd have known that we were going to be charged for removing the old carpet, I would have removed it myself. It's not exactly difficult to pick up and roll up their shittily laid carpet.
Especially when the apartment was empty.
Yeah. That carpet was barely attached to the floor. At any point, you could have lifted up any corner of that carpet.
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't do a great job. So they want to charge me all that. And so, hey, I've got a video showing what things looked like before I moved out. So they're going to have a problem. We're going to end up in court. Because then, on top of that, they're charging us for our utilities. Basically, we are getting charged for 10 days, which is a third of a month. The bill normally runs $75. So you'd expect to pay $25. But you're paying $40. Why?
Well, you called the utility people. Why is it?
They have no explanation.
It's just ridiculous. I don't know if utility prices arbitrarily went up in the month of March or what.
They're not going to say, insert management company name here wanted us to do that, but that's what it is.
Well, of course.
I don't know. It's just so frustrating to deal with
Shady
people
assholes.
who are like that always want nothing but profit, profit, profit. I mean, look at the mailbox break-ins. 5 times the mailboxes get broken into. They say they're going to get cameras. And then what does he actually respond when we confront him about it? Well, we never said we were going to get cameras. We just said we were going to get an estimate for cameras. Well, why would you even waste your time getting an estimate if you had no intention of putting in cameras? What really happened was they got a quote of like $500 or $1,000 and decided it was too expensive.
Yeah.
That's what really happened. And then, the fact that there was a break-in and my clicker was stolen and they were notified right away and never changed codes.
Of course not.
Or the guy that we caught, and we even talked about this, in the building who had the code. Yeah.
And we have the police reports to prove it.
Yeah. Like, just wow. Just wow. And they want to fight for that. Okay, well, that's why, what I did was I just wrote her an email and I laid out the things that I was going to sue them for.
Yep.
And we expected some of the money that they were doing. We did.
Everything except the carpet removal fee.
Yeah. And so, like, the fact of the matter is, if they'll waive that, I probably wouldn't sue them. Now, that doesn't mean I still wouldn't, but that would all depend on what I see when I get the paperwork. But I am right now feisty angry about it. And
just a little.
They're going to find out what happens when you make me feisty angry.
The worst part is you're feisty angry with extra time on your hands.
Yeah, like literally lots of extra time.
It's because, just kind of the worst scenario.
I'll tell you an example with Kenny. I was helping him with his website just yesterday, and we got kind of stuck. What I normally would have done in that situation is I would have said, as soon as technical support fixes our issue, I'll be back here. But instead, I said, I'm going to have to fix this from home. Technical support needs to get me in. I'm going to take care of this at home.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're right. I'm at home a lot more. And I was thinking about that today. Like one of the things that I'm noticing during this quarantine period is the benefit of, so you spend a lot of time reading, looking at tutorials, learning how to do this, learning how to do that. But you never actually put it, and when I'm saying you, I'm using the royal you. You never actually put it into effect, like into being. It never actually goes anywhere. And that's something I vowed to change at the end of the year.
Okay.
And I've been very deliberate and intentional about following the steps of the things that I was shown and taking my time with it and learning it better and better. And as I master a piece of it, not being afraid to like personalize it a little bit, as long as it's not part of the core belief, personalize they might say, oh, you got to use Trello boards. Well, I hate Trello boards, so I'd probably use something else. That's the kind of tweak I'm talking about for those of you who are going to say, you should never tweak those things. But I want to start doing what I've learned rather than just learning and never putting it into practice.
Okay.
So that's something that I've been noticing, though, that because I've been doing that for 2 months by the time, a little more than 2 months by the time all this happened, there's just stuff just keeps moving forward. Work just keeps getting done. And, the plan, I remember I told you that I missed out on a day, like a whole week's worth of work because I had originally planned to pack, but then I was super sick.
Yeah.
And I was sleeping a lot and whatever. Well, I was super worried that then, the next week was the move, and then I was going to have to get back to work, and I thought I was going to be inundated. But I realized that prior to the move, I had planned to pick off a bunch of tasks that needed to get done.
Right.
And then I left the 3 weeks, the week of the move, the week after the move, and, the week right before the move, the week after the move, and the week after that, so this week, is light.
Yeah.
And so I was able to catch up on things, but also I'm able to insert new things that I hadn't originally intended to do.
Well, that's exciting.
Well, yeah, it is. It's kind of nice. But like the video ranking thing, I was telling you, like I started out and take this video and I followed the exact steps that he gave and I set up the description. I set up everything the way he said to set it up. And then I put it out and within an hour, I had already had 11 views on this video.
How many do you have now to date?
I don't know. I haven't checked. It's really
You
bad.
haven't checked?
No. But
the heck's
anyway,
wrong with you?
Listen to me. I followed the thing, and it that's not fantastic, but it's the most I've ever gotten in the first hour I've ever put out a video.
Uh-huh.
I mean, and even if it's still at that number, I wouldn't really care because it's like the first video. I'm not in love with it. I like the idea, like how it went together, how it got pieced together. But what I didn't like was some of the B-roll could have been way better. And I think
When we talked about that.
I honestly think that in video for vlogging like that, that's the key is the B-roll. And it's true. Like I see people who have like amazing B-roll and you're just sucked into their video. And then the ones who just kind of sit there and talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're okay because you're interested in whatever they're talking about. And other times you're just like, why am I watching this? Next.
Right.
Like it just doesn't keep your interest. So I'm trying to implement the things that I'm learning because hell, why the hell spend all this time working on something and then like working on learning something and then not actually putting it into place?
Well, that would be a waste of your time.
Yeah, most definitely. So tell me something. How has all of this pandemic stuff affected you?
Well, it's kind of stressful because I have asthma and a full awareness that other people are disgusting assholes. So that's a little bit shitty. And my clients have been affected. So I think there'll be some long-term effects on my business because of this. But that's about it.
So, are you expecting to lose those clients? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think that either of them will go out of business. I think they might just need to make some alarming cutbacks for a short period of time.
Interesting. Well, the one you talked to me about already made some really
I
really
know.
smart moves.
My one client, I just connected with him on LinkedIn. So like I saw his education history. He's a smart dude. He has a lot of education in entrepreneurship and finance and that kind of stuff. So his I don't know what his decisions that he's made for cutting back in his business to make it move forward have been excellent.
Well, and like what I've noticed about him and I really like and I think people could learn from is when he sees a problem, he doesn't spend a lot of time worrying about who caused the problem, what caused the problem. He comes up with a strategy for fixing the problem.
Right.
Which is really the ultimate thing you're going to need. I mean, you can spend all the time you want pointing fingers, but ultimately you're still going to be left with the question of, how do we fix this?
Right.
So he just goes to work fixing it. And I really like that. And I think that's what's helping him because his brain is always thinking about, well, if something bad happens over here, what can I do to fix that? And so that's why he came up with like the idea that you talked about that really cut his expenses quite a bit, which is freaking amazing in this time. You know, I mean, when you think about the number you gave me, that's more than that's like a 70% cut.
68%.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's just me doing it off the top of my head. That's amazing to me that you can cut your expenses down that much. But that is going to save him in the long term.
Yep, 100%.
It's going to save him in the long term.
Well, and he put in all this work in so that he can try to get one of those SBA loans that they're talking about. And then he spent a lot of time building his business credit. So he has a lot of ways to influx cash when he needs it kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and that's what you have to do. I mean, I told you about the, you were talking about the loan thing, and I mean, I told you about how the stimulus is trying to make it faster, right? I told you that this morning. Yeah, they're going to have private banks process these loans, which means they're going to have to the government's setting the criteria for who gets the loans, but the private bank will give you the money, and then they'll collect the money from the government. And that's so much better because if you had to deal with the government and all the oversight that goes on in the government, it would take 6 months before you got your money.
Those checks, though, that they're sending out to all the people in certain income brackets, those aren't loans, are they?
No.
That's what I thought. It's just the loans are for the businesses.
They do this every so often just to stimulate the economy, too.
Well, yeah, I get it.
I mean, like, I saw an interesting thing today, and this can be the last thing we talk about, but I saw something interesting today. You know, I told you I connected with that group, and what they do, I'd give you the name, but we don't name names on our show, so that's why I'm not going to give you the name. But basically what they do is they do, if you run a membership site or you sell a product on installment or like a coaching plan on installment, I mean, think about that. If you have a course and it's, 9 hours of video and you sell it for $2,000 or 10 payments of $210, right? You're making a little extra money because you're putting on installments. You know that within a month, a person could consume all of your content and then stop paying you. So businesses like that, where there's a membership site and the payment method has gone bad, and so that's why they haven't collected money from the customer, or a situation like that where you sell a course and you have a legal document that says, I'm going to pay 10 installments of $210, and you stop paying, these people recover that money for these businesses. And they recovered, since the beginning of March, they've recovered $1.5 million worth of money.
Wow.
And so, okay, they invited me into like a Slack channel that is for like people who have connected with them and also their clients. And so they ask questions like, what's one word to describe how you're feeling today? That kind of thing. And then people talk about it. And there's a lot of talk about the virus and the pandemic and all that. And so some person said, well, the person they work for, they're like the virtual assistant for this person, but like more like you with Ben than like someone else with me. And
they're his legitimate right hand.
Yeah. And now that person has had people contact them and say, I can't afford the program. I need to cancel. And it's $299 a month for this program. I need to cancel. And they're basically thinking to themselves, look, I have a contract. You're supposed to pay me. So they said they were going to offer a thing where they would give you, they have it set up so that the longer you pay, the more benefits you get. And so they were going to set it up so that if you finish off, like if you've been doing it for 3 months, if you pay 3 more months right now on the spot, they'll give you the benefits of if you had been there for 6 months right now.
Okay.
To help people get through this deal. If you pay for a year, up to a year, 12 payments, they'll give you the benefits that you'd get all the way up to a year starting right now to help you get through all this.
Interesting.
But they don't want to offer any discount on the payment. Okay? So the bro comes back right away with, well, you've got people telling you that they can't afford this because they lost their job because of this quarantine.
Right.
So telling them that pay me more money and I'll give you more benefits to help you through probably isn't going to fly.
Right.
He said, so how about you offer to stop taking payments from them for at least the next 30 days, and after that you'll revisit how much longer you're willing to do it. Like, how about doing that? And he said, then there was something else and something else. And then he pointed out, he goes, that's why we tell our clients who do memberships and stuff like this to do what it takes to encourage people to pay for a block of months at a time, quarterly, half a year, full year.
Right.
Because you think about it. If you collected all that money, say in February, let's say it was 3 months, the smallest block of time you could purchase in that respect. Suddenly, that person's already paid you the money. So now their current situation, they're not worrying about paying you. And you've bought some time.
Until May.
And you also have the cash flow to help yourself not take as hard of a hit when you give that one person or more than one person a 30-day, grace period on any more payments.
What I saw one membership site doing was their regular membership is like the same kind of price as $2.99, and they're charging people a $5 a month maintenance fee, but they took away their access. But as soon as they can reafford it, they can pick up right where they left off.
Oh, so they do
and
it
not
like,
have to pay another
they
initiation
do it the way
fee.
A lot of gyms do it.
Yeah.
They freeze your membership.
Yeah.
They charge you like a $8 a month management fee.
Yep.
And then when you reactivate it, it's just like you'd never stopped paying.
Yep. So then people who, I don't remember what kind of membership it was. If something the same kind of lines though, that you're getting a certain amount of content each month.
That's smart though. We've talked about this already just personally, but I think businesses are going to have to be really cognizant of how they handle customer service issues moving forward through all of this, because like just today, the 4 biggest banks announced that they're freezing mortgage payments.
Yeah. But nobody's freezing rent payment.
Well, but the point is...
Well, Irvine Company did.
The point is you're going to be remembered for how you responded to your customer during this time.
I have to say what the Irvine Company did is excellent. Did I tell you about it?
Yeah.
They cut people's rent payments in half for up to 3 months, and then they gave them an additional 6 months to pay it back. So if you lost your job and you needed to do half rent for those 3 months, and then after the whole quarantine crap is over, you got your job back, you have 6 months to make up that extra whatever amount of money you still owe them.
Would have only been a month and a half's worth of rent.
Yeah. Which isn't awful.
6 weeks. So all you'd have to do is add a week's worth of rent every month for 6 months, and you'd pay off that rent. I mean, that's
not bad.
For most people, that's like 25% of their overall rent. So it's a couple $100.
Which is okay.
You can find that money elsewhere in your budget.
Right.
And it just, you know what? No one's saying people aren't going to have to stretch and it's not going to be painful. But we're all going to come out on the other side stronger as long as we keep our heads up, we keep doing what we're doing. And like, it's kind of like, I read today, like this whole thing with school, track season definitely got to be over. But you probably should keep running.
Right.
You know, keep your skills up, because there's no point in working so hard and then letting it slide. When that's kind of back, full circle back to what I said about putting into action what you're learning. One of the things you learn is that it's harder to get into shape than it is to stay in shape.
Right.
And that goes for anything. Like if I was still writing code, you can bet I would have some pet project right now that I was working on to keep me busy.
Of course. You're weird like that.
And keep my skills sharpened. But hey, I've been buried in chess books. It's been fun.
It's true. I've seen your office. It's literally you're buried in chess books.
Currently.
Up to your eyeballs.
Yep, currently. Anyway. Anything left to add about Corona and its virus?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, well.
Guess on that note, we can go to sleep now. Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.